welcome back. So we're going to be talking about an interesting distinction between clinical psychology and positive psychology. And one of the ways that I like to describe what coaching is very often to people is by showing them this bell curve, a graph, okay? And if you've seen a bell curve before, you know that it's kind of like that nice bubble right there. And on the left side of the bubble, on this curve, what we're going to call the happiness curve, is -10. Okay, all the way on the left side, you have -10, and those are people that are really suffering. Okay, so if we wanted to plot someone on this curve, on the left side, you'd have -10 people that are suffering, and all the way on the right side, we'd have the +10s, the people that are thriving. Okay, and so -10 is the worst, +10 is the best, and the vast majority of people are going to be in the middle. Okay, the vast majority of people in the middle. So what's in the middle? What's between -10 and +10 is 0. Okay, so on a happiness curve, the vast majority of people are not suffering on the -10. They're not thriving on the +10. They're 0, what I call surviving. Okay, you ask Joe on the street, how you doing, Joe? Fine, so about a 0. And so what clinical psychology has been studying for the past 100 years primarily are the -10s. They want to understand people that are ill, mentally ill, and abnormal psychology is all about that. So if you've taken psychology classes, they talk a lot about depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, relationship problems, and the extremes of those are the -10. So you can kind of take a minute right now, see how you're feeling today. -10 is absolutely horrible, +10 is amazing, and 0 is just blah. And then you have +1 or -1, so that's kind of how that works. And it's a good tool, by the way, to help assess your clients, how they're feeling. How are you feeling today? Now, clinical psychology has been studying, as I said, the -10s, and what their whole goal has been is to try to make them normal, to help people become normal. That's what a therapist learns in graduate school, is to help their people become normal. So the process of therapy is really to help people move to normal. Now, what's normal? Normal is average. The greatest amount of people is what defines normal, which is kind of scary because on this curve, it's just people that are feeling blah about life, 0. And the goal of therapy is to help people move from negative to 0. And if you remove a negative, you don't get a positive. A lot of people say, if I ask you, what do you get when you remove a negative? A lot of people say positive. That's not true. If you remove a negative, you get 0, okay? So moving from -10 to -5 up to 0, that's great. That person's going to feel a lot better being normal, okay? They're going to be in the average group, in the normal group, and that's really what therapists have been studying for the past 100 years. How do we help people in the negatives remove those negatives? And when you do that, they become normal. But that does not mean that they're happy. That doesn't mean that they're thriving. That's the +10. So about the mid-1990s, really relatively recently, in the past 30 years, is when we started studying the +10s and trying to understand what are they doing differently. And this is the study of positive psychology. And we're trying to understand, well, what are the +10s doing differently from the 0s that are making them thrive? And so this is the whole field of positive psychology that we get into deeper in the program. This is just an overview for you to understand the difference between clinical psychology and positive psychology, and more importantly, the difference between therapy and coaching. Because therapy is removing the negatives, moving from -10, let's say, or -5 to 0, and coaching is adding the positives. Okay, so the process of helping someone move from around 0 to +10, that's coaching. Okay, it's not therapy where we're fixing something that's broken. It's coaching where we're helping people add the things in their life that are missing. And that has to do with their dreams, their goals, aspirations, their relationships. We're going to talk about human needs down the road, about all the different things that people need to thrive, that the +10s have found ways of getting that. And I'll give you a little sneak preview that it doesn't have to do with how much money you have. It has to do with how well you're meeting your personal individual needs. It's very important to understand human needs psychology, which we'll do later down the road. But here, I just want to point out to you the difference between therapy and coaching. Therapy is removing the negatives. Coaching is about adding the positives. Hopefully that helps you understand. It's a great way to explain to people what coaching is all about. It's about adding the positives into their life and helping them move towards thriving.